Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be making some more cards today. I actually have 18 cards to show you, but I don't have videos for all of them. This is actually about 3 hours worth of footage, and then my camera ran out of battery, so I had to recharge it, so I made some off camera to show you at the end of the video. So this card I'm making, I've just chosen a couple of papers from the kit, and I'm just mounting this one that I've chosen to be the background onto the card base, and I'm going to trim around the edges, make sure the card base is straight. And I've made this little panel out of the striped piece that I've mounted on white, and I'm going to add that and use my T-square ruler just to make sure that that is square. And sorry about the lighting on this first card. I'm not really sure what happened. I don't think I changed anything, but for some reason in editing it went funny, and there was not a lot I can do about it, unfortunately. So I decided that I'm going to use this topper, but I wanted a white border around it to make it stick out from the background. I wanted to bring in the pink that was on the striped piece. So yeah, I thought that this snowman topper was a good way to bring that pink back in. So I'm going to put some foam on the back of this, and I'm just using some double-sided tape and funky foam, a bit more double-sided tape. And I just put that on a backing strip just so that I can move it around and play with the card layout. And I'm going to add some double-sided tape to this ribbon, and I'm going to do like an L-shaped configuration with the ribbon being the bottom of the L. And this is one that I use quite a lot, this layout. Now I'm just tying a little bow. I'm going to stick that down with a glue dot in a moment. I've just stuck down the topper, and I'm going to have a look to see if there's anything I want to add before I commit to the bow. So I'm going through my die cuts, and I've chosen 2 holly leaves and one of the pine sprigs that came from the dies in the kit, and I literally just cut them out of some dark green scrap cardstock. I've picked out some snowflakes that are just the table sprinkles that I got in Morrison's last year, and I'm sticking those down in a triangle shape. And I've stuck down the bow with a glue dot and a little bit of Multi-Matte Medium, which I'm trying out in this fine line bottle. I do like it. It hasn't got clogged yet, but I find the Multi-Matte Medium really difficult to squeeze out of there. So if you have problems with your hands, this is probably not the solution for you. If you just saw what I did there, I just popped one of the holly leaves up on a little bit of foam just so that they overlap and lay in a cluster like they would naturally on a branch. And I'm just adding a couple of these little white gems to the centres of the snowflakes, and I think I add them as well to the little holly to make them look like white berries. And there's my first card finished. Now I'm going to use up this little bit of a scrap, and I got this idea I think from the magazine, but then I decided to adjust it to match my layout idea. And as you can see here, I'm just having a little play to decide what kind of thing I want to stick on, and I go for this it's like blue and green strand of pearls that are sticky back. And I found this smirk tag in my stash, and I wanted to use some of the toppers from the kit, but they just didn't go, and this smirk tag had that blue in it, so I thought that it would be perfect for this card. and I couldn't think of another time I was going to use it. So as I said before, if I come up with an idea to use something I've had forever, I just do it, because otherwise I would just hoard it forever. Now I'm using that same pearl strand to make corners. So I cut a 3 and a 2, so it makes a perfect corner. And then I'm going to decorate it with some snowflakes. And I'm going to put some blue and green pearls in the centre of those. I'm not quite sure what I was looking for there. Oh, and the Ric Rac ribbon on the top of the tag is just some sparkly white that I had in my stash. I think I got it in America, unfortunately, so I can't tell you exactly where. And I wanted a sentiment, but I didn't have a blue or a green one, so I'm just using this Rockpool Pro Marker to colour in one of these glitter Noel wood pieces. And I'm sticking some multi-matte medium on the back of that. I'm sticking it down, and there's my card finished. Okay, so this card was a little bit of a nightmare. I had an idea to use squares of paper to make it look like there was a cross in the middle, like a present, and I was just going to put a bow and a tag in the middle and be done with it. But it was actually very hard, even with a T-square ruler, to line up all of these little squares. So in the end, I just get fed up, honestly, and I just stick them down, and then I cover over the top of the kind of cross in the middle with some ribbon, because as you can see there, the bit in the middle is wider, and that just drives me bonkers. And I tried to fix it with a craft knife, and it didn't work. So I decided to go with this white ribbon. So I tie a bow, and I will do a bow making tutorial at some point. And then I decide I'm going to use that tag. So I just stick down some double-sided tape, and I would not recommend doing it this way. I would stick the tape on the ribbon and then trim it to size, because I found it really difficult to trim the edges flush. I think I learned my lesson and do it off. So I've measured it, I've cut it to the exact right size, I've put the tape on it this time, and then I just peel it back very gradually, as you can see here, and then I get it on perfect. So I definitely go with the second method over the first one. Sometimes when you don't do things for a little while, you kind of forget why it is that you do things the way that you do, because the other ways don't work. So I'm just hunting for a glue dot here, and I'm going to put some peel off stickers on this little tag, and I try a couple of configurations, and then I settle with happy at the top and Christmas at the bottom. I think I got these peel offs in Hobbycraft. Then I stick the ribbon onto the tag, and I'm going to put a bit of foam on the back of this. So double-sided tape, bit of funky foam, and I put a bit just on that top there underneath the bow to support it, I think. Yes, I do. And I pop that in the middle, and I use some of the snowflakes from another peel off set, just because it looks a bit plain, and I want to bring in that silver, because the tag was the only place I had the silver. So I just sprinkle 5 of those or 6 of those around. Oh, and I put a little gem in the middle of that tag. So now I'm doing another card, and I'm using the same backing paper and trimming it again just to make sure that the card base is square. And I'm going to use this panel and my T-square ruler to make sure it's lined up. And then I've got this other scrap piece of paper in the stripe design, and I'm going to use this topper on top of it. And this is where I realised that the border on the topper is wonky, so I'm just trimming it to make sure it's even, because I don't like it. It would drive me bonkers. So now I found these little chipboard hollies in my stash, and I coloured these in my Pro markers and put glossy accents on the berries a while ago. And now I'm considering adding a ribbon. So I stick down some double-sided tape, stick down my ribbon, trim off the edges, and that time it was easy because the edges were flush with the side of the card. And I'm going to do a glue dot, and I've been using the Stix 2 3mm or the Diddy by Glue Dots brand for those. And that's that card finished. Now I'm going to use some of this red reindeer pattern paper, which I really love. And I'm trimming my card base again. And then I realised that I've got this piece of paper on completely wonky. So this tape pen that I used was the Dovecraft Easy Fix, and I realised that I actually don't like this tape runner at all. It was really hard to peel that back off and it ripped the paper. So I think I will be going back to spending a little bit extra and getting the refills for my dot runner. But I had run out at this point, so I had to use what I had in my stash. So I won't be buying these again. So I'm doing another L-shaped configuration, and because I don't have enough of those scallop borders to go all the way down, I just stuck them as if they're going behind that green stripe, and no one will ever know, apart from all of you. I've coloured that little circle robin image in with my Pro markers, and that's a stamp that comes with the kit. Not Pro markers, Polychromos pencils, sorry. And I've put some Christmas red stickles on the berries. I've used this gold glitter Merry Christmas sticker, and I'm going to use some of this baker's twine to make it look like a bauble. So I tie a little bow, I'm sticking it down with some Ultimate Medium again, and I'm really struggling to get it out of the bottle. And I use my self-pinching scissors. I think they're called tweezers. I think they're called reverse tweezers. I just use that to hold it down while it dries, and then I'm going to stick on this little bow, but I'm having trouble stopping the bow loop from twisting, so I just put a little bit of glue and hold it down for a few seconds to make sure it lays the way I want. And I do the same on the next loop and trim off the bow, and that's our card finished. So I'm gonna do another one with this same backing paper and a strip panel down the middle, and I'm going to use this with Love at Christmas topper with a little bit of ribbon. And this is such a simple card, anybody can do it. And if you don't have toppers to go with your papers, you can always make plain toppers on your computer in Word and print them off and stick them on your cards. I'm just making sure that my ribbon is straight. And I decide to use another one of these burlap deers from my stash. Pop that topper up with some funky foam. I'm literally just using scraps now. And I put some funky foam on the back of the deer where it's not going to be resting on the panel. And for some reason, when I piece together like that, I always forget to put adhesive on the back. So I just lift it up and do that there. And that's that card finished. So simple but sweet. So this card I'm using that striped green paper, and I'm having a fuss with this tape runner. It seems to stick to itself in the mechanism, so it just stops rolling. It's really annoying, but as I said, I won't be buying these ones again. So I stuck down some ribbon and that red piece of paper. I'm doing the L shape again, and then I'm going to use the ribbon to anchor this tag onto the card. So I'm going to pop up the tag with some funky foam, put some adhesive on the back of it, and then I'm going to stick a bow on the tag. And I've got these die cut stars. They're the pierced stars from My Favourite Things, and I've just cut out some different sizes of the stuck-in set in this red glitter. And I'm using a few more of those snowflakes, and that's that card finished. Another really simple one. Now this one I'm going to do some stamping. So I'm using the two little snowflakes from the stamp set, and right now I am using the Green Hills ink, but it's a bit too bright, so I'm using second generation stamping for that one colour. And then I'm using the pastel green and the pastel blue colours, and these are Hero Arts ink cubes, and I'm just basically making my own background paper. I just felt like I should try and use the stamps a bit more, because I've mostly been using the papers and the toppers, because I literally got given so many of them in the kit. And then I decide I'm going to do the border where you're going to see around the pattern paper on the other side. One thing I will say is, if you're going to use that pastel green or blue and then go into the Green Hills, make sure that you've cleaned your stamp off, because I think those pastel colours are pigments and it might mess up your die pad for the Green Hills. So I stick down this panel, and I decide I'm going to use this Christmas tree topper, which I've mounted on white cardstock and put some frosted lace stickles on, and I did that off camera so it could dry. And I'm going to put some more of this white ribbon down and trim off the edges with my Tim Holtz scissors. I'm going to tie another bow. Then I'm going to add some of these pearls, and I left a space so that I could stick my bow onto the ribbon in the middle. And I just go and add a little bit of wet glue. Then I do the corner thing again with the 3 pearls and then the 2 pearls. And I'm just deciding where I want to put this tree. And I put some of the pearls in the centre of this snowflake. Now I'm doing the funky foam. Let's pop up that topper, and I stick down that little snowflake. I'm having to think about anything else I might want to add, and I decide to go for a sentiment. Now, I originally stamped this in Unicorn ink by Hero Arts, but it doesn't actually show up very well on the pattern paper. So off camera here, I've just gone over to my other desk and I've heat embossed it with white embossing powder so that it stands out. And I'm back here, and because the ink didn't transfer very well, I'm just going in with a white gel pen to fix my embossing. So hopefully you can't tell it didn't work out so great. So I'm doing another one with this sentiment paper background, and then I've got this bit of scrap left from when I did the aperture card. It's just a circle that I cut out of this stripy paper with the MFT stitch circles Stax Dynamics, and I'm putting some funky foam on the back of that, and I'm going to make it into a bauble, and I'm going to layer that on top of this red panel of the reindeer paper from the kit. And I decide I'm going to use Baker's Twine again. I think this Baker's Twine is from the Ribbon Girl. I bought it like 6 years ago and I'm still using it. I didn't think there was that much included when I bought it, but it's lasted me a really long time. So now I'm using some of these rose gold coloured string of gems, and I'm just adding them to the bauble to make it a bit more sparkly, and I do the same to the sides of the panels just to give it a bit of interest really, and also to hide where the seams of the paper meet, just to make it look a bit neater. Sometimes I like to do that when I'm not matting and layering. Now I'm thinking about a sentiment, and I decide to go with that Merry and Bright that you see just above the card, but I try a few things first. And while I'm looking for a sentiment, I find these buttons. So I stick down that topper. Now I'm going to stick down these buttons with the Stick Kit wet glue pen. And there's another card finished. Now I've started with this tree paper in the background and a little bit of scrap of that snowflake paper, and I'm just using that little scrap of that snowflake paper to tie in the topper, because I haven't got many toppers left now and I'm just trying to use them up. So I'm doing an L-shaped cardigan, but it's kind of in reverse. I just wanted to make it a little bit different, to be honest. So I'm going to stick down this ribbon with some double-sided tape, trim off the edges with my Tim Holtz scissors. I've made a little bow, which I stick down with one of those 3mm glue dots. I'm adding some more of those rose gold gems. And again, I'm just making a border to that strip because I haven't matted it. And that rose gold colour suits the border on this topper really nicely. So that's why I add that. I've added some foam onto the back, and as you can see I left a little line free, and that was just so that it could sit over the gems. But if you were thinking about it, you could skip putting gems where you were going to put the topper and save yourself some gems. So now go through my bag of bits that I've cut out and collected for a long time, and I find these snowflakes, and I'm just having a hunt for if there's any other sizes or shapes that I prefer. I believe those snowflakes are from Spellbinders, and I think they might be the 2015 and 2016 snowflakes. I'm not entirely sure. I cut them out a while ago, and yeah, I can't remember. I had this bag of bits left over from a Christmas card making session. Not card making. We were decorating stars for charity last year or the year before. So yeah, they've been kicking around a while, so I've just been using them up. So now I'm looking for a sentiment to stick on this card, and it's really difficult. I colour in that Noel and decide I don't like it, so I find this Christmas Wishes random topper from my stash and just decide to go with it because it's got a kind of brownie tone to the edge. So I just decide that's the best match out of all the options that I've got. Now I'm sticking some more of these rose gold gems to the centre of my snowflakes, just to make them more interesting really. This is quite a simple card, and it's just all these little details that make it look a bit more special. Okay, this card is the tree paper again, and I'm going to add some ribbon. Can you tell I really love ribbon? I never actually use ribbon that much, but on Christmas cards I just love it. Anyway, so I found some of these snowflakes, and I'm going to tie a bow to add this snowflake tag topper, and the season's greetings on there I cut out from an old paper pack. I can't tell you where it comes from, but you could print one out on your computer, and it was pink, so I thought that brought in the pink that was in the tag really nicely, because it's the only pink on the card. So I'm going to put some funky foam on the back of the tag just to give it some dimension. Dimension's the easiest way to make a card look more special. And I'm going to add 3 little gems to the centre of these snowflakes, and that's my card finished. So the next cards coming up are ones I made off camera. This is a really simple design, which is literally just a strip down the middle and a ribbon with a topper. This card is the same, except for I've put the strips in a different direction, and I've used 2 strips instead of 1. This card I've used some scraps and a bauble die cut that I had in my stash, along with a few scraps. This card I made using a couple of scraps, a piece of ribbon, one of the toppers, and this dove die cut. This card was one of the snowflake topper panels, a Noel from Clearly Besotted, which I coloured with a pro marker and a bit of ribbon and some snowflakes. And finally, this card is 2 more pieces of scraps, a snowflake from my stash, a little deer that I had in my stash, and this joy sentiment in the glitter that I just stuck on top of the last topper from the kit. So thank you so much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed my video, and hit the notification bell so you know when my next video comes up. I really appreciate all of your support and your comments. See you next time. Bye.